In today's episode, Caitlin Clark's six-figure speaking empire exposes Aja Wilson's envy and shifting power. WNBA finals ratings hailed as record-breaking, but Nielsen's new math buries context. ESPN celebrates anyway. Patrick Beverley says Aces beat NBA team. Fans roast. DeWanna Bonner leaves fever. Phoenix Mercury swept.
Od codziennych vlogów po czerwony dywan, Freeze i Wersow przenieśli swój świat na wielki ekran i zderzyli się z ostrą...
She ended the season, then stepped into a ballroom where the money talks louder than whistles. Caitlin Clark just booked another corporate stage, this time with the Long Island Association, a high-stakes East Coast business summit where executives ink seven-figure deals between coffee sips and golf swings. And she's slated for a featured conversation with President Matt Cohen about leadership, impact, and how she turned a college phenomenon into a professional blueprint that even Wall Street respects. Reports last year already placed her speaking fees in the six-figure range per appearance. And industry insiders still expect that number now, because demand hasn't cooled, it's multiplied. Fortune 500 rooms aren't buying hype. They're buying conversion, credibility, and a name that moves people without a mascot holding their hand. She isn't selling sneakers in this lane. She's selling gravity. So let's say the quiet part clearly. One paid hour in a chandeliered ballroom can rival what the average WNBA player earns, grinding through an entire season. Because league salaries often hover in the low six figures, while Clark's single appearance checks can land close to that. That comparison stings. And yes, it's supposed to. Big rooms pay for cultural resonance, and Clark brings it on command, with receipts that start in Iowa and spill into every arena she's touched since. The season ended, and she didn't take a vacation. She took market share. That's the engaging fact. Here's the real meaning. She's outgrowing the system's speed limit, and brands notice first. When one player's name eclipses the league's logo, power shifts away from committees, press releases, and tired talking points, and into one person's calendar. The WNBA is still arguing flights, per diem, and optics. Caitlin Clark is building a second career while she ices her knees. Different game, different scoreboard. Companies aren't debating whether she elevates the product. They're debating how many dates they can secure before the next bid arrives. And this isn't just about cash. It's leverage. Because when a star can fund her own ecosystem, she dictates tempo on and off the court. Fans feel that, and the comment sections keep saying the same thing. They like Clark's humility, her time for kids, her clean interviews, and her goofy sideline joy that pulls an entire section into the moment. That authenticity translates in boardrooms, where polished decks die, but genuine voices win. The Aja Wilson discourse lives online too, and it's heated. Some fans accuse her of getting a special whistle, call her entitled, and say she's unlikable compared to Clark's Midwestern calm. Those are unverified perceptions, not facts, but they're loud. And in the modern marketplace, sentiment shapes invitations before stats even enter the chat. Brands are cautious. They chase enthusiasm, not arguments. Mini story time. Remember those winter nights in Iowa City when families drove hours to watch Caitlin launch from the logo and hug every kid in sight after the buzzer, and then saw ticket prices climb the next week because demand exploded? That wasn't a fluke. That was a proof of concept. She didn't just create fans, she created habits. Viewing, buying, sharing. And that's the currency executives crave when they plan conferences and campaigns. One campus became a movement. Then the movement traveled. Here's a double fact that explains the checks. Industry standards for elite athlete speakers often land between $150,000 and $250,000 per appearance for icons like Serena Williams, Peyton Manning, or Tom Brady, depending on format, travel, and exclusivity. Clark is already swimming in that lane because her pop culture relevance delivers instant ROI. Meanwhile, the average WNBA salary floats in the neighborhood of $120,000, varying by tenure and cap constraints, with most real money coming off the court through endorsements and off-season work. That's why these bookings matter. They compress time, multiply value, and give a player independence from wobbly league narratives. Trend watch now. The modern athlete doesn't wait on a league's growth curve. They build their own stack: speaking, streaming, documentaries, academies, and long-tail IP that survives a shooting slump. Clark is a textbook case. Today it's Long Island. Tomorrow it's a leadership series, a branded clinic network, a docu-series with back-end equity, and a non-profit arm that backs girls' hoops from Des Moines to Dubrovnik. None of that needs scheduling approval from an office she doesn't work for. She carries her infrastructure on her back and books rooms that don't need a halftime show to stay. A few people asked why she didn't jump into Unrivaled this off-season, alongside Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. Simple calculus. Why risk injury in exhibition-style play when you can earn the same or more by talking strategy to executives and reinvesting that time into recovery, film, and brand building? It's not arrogance, it's portfolio management. She's prioritizing longevity and leverage over noise, and the balance sheet agrees. Now the impact, and it's bigger than one contract. If more WNBA players realize they can monetize community, storytelling, and personal IP without a league middleman, the entire bargaining table changes shape. You don't beg for valuation when you can demonstrate it outside the season. On demand, with receipts. The union can push for improvements, sure, but the power spike comes when stars show they don't need gatekeepers to access real audiences. That's why this Long Island date hits different. It's a public signal to corporate America that the best bet in women's sports may not be league partnerships. It may be the woman herself. There's also timing optics the league can't control. Labor chatter always lingers in the off-season. Travel upgrades dominate headlines. Officials become the villains of the week. Yet while that storm cycles, Clark is on stage in New York, sipping water and breaking down leadership to people who cut checks bigger than the salary cap. It's a split screen you can't ignore. Chaos here, clarity there. One star shows stability, not with tweets, but with bookings. And yes, there's envy talk. Aja Wilson is elite, decorated, and relentless. And none of that vanishes, because comment sections throw shade. But when fans feel a newcomer lapped the field in one season, and now out-earns veterans off the floor, the discourse gets sharp. Some of it's messy, some of it's fair. All of it reflects a truth the league must face. Personality and narrative sell the modern game as much as production. And Clark's storyline is rocket fuel. She doesn't clap back, doesn't chase drama, and still owns every room she enters. That's powerful. Experts keep pointing to the same lesson. Brands buy certainty and reach. Clark offers both without controversy, and her audience shows up across demographics: kids, parents, casuals, even non-basketball fans who just want to hear a 20-something talk clearly about pressure, focus, and joy. That's the product. Not just threes, but resonance. Not just highlights, but trust. If you think independence beats permission, tap subscribe and tell us what move she should make next. The ripple effect is already visible. More invitations, bigger stages, smarter deals that favor equity over one-off payouts. This is how a player turns popularity into permanent value, how a rookie season becomes a franchise, and how a league star becomes a global one. And it carries a quiet warning for everyone else. Waiting for institutional validation is a slow road. Building your own lane is faster. She isn't chasing a spotlight anymore. The spotlight follows her into every room.
tej tutaj sali ciebie nie poznała, no bo wiadomo, że są twoi fani, którzy gdzieś tam ciebie śledzą i po każdym szczególe ciebie rozpoznają, ale jak ty się czujesz, Mikołaj, w takiej innej wersji? Bo ja jak się dowiedziałam, co wy tańczycie, to od razu się zastanawiałam, jak ty powstrzymasz ten twój uśmiech, który jest z tobą na co dzień.
Kurczę, to była trochę taka, wiesz, wojna z prawdziwym ja. W sensie wiadomo, no ja też mam takie momenty, gdzie jestem poważny, stonowany i nie całe życie się śmieję i uśmiecham, ale zazwyczaj na co dzień i pewnie Macie to potwierdzi, że robię bekę, uśmiecham się, wszędzie musi być śmiesznie, zabawnie, to taki jest mój cel życiowy, żeby po prostu się uśmiechać i pozytywnie przeżywać to życie. Natomiast było ciężko, no kurde, zmienić się dzisiaj to właśnie jak...
Biggest finals in 25 years, they say, while the calculator quietly changed. Here's the engaging fact the headlines love repeating. Most viewed in 25 years. It looks incredible on social feeds and sponsor decks, especially when front office sports and network partners amplify it with confetti and victory laps. But buried several paragraphs down sits the fine print that actually matters. Nielsen changed how it counts people this year, expanding its big data plus panel approach, folding in more set-top box data, smart TV recognition, and broader out-of-home measurement that didn't exist the same way before. Translation: the yardstick moved. The totals got a lift because the system added more screens, more locations, and more passive signals. Not strictly because millions of brand new fans suddenly materialized. Facts can be accurate. Context still matters. Let's anchor the numbers before anyone spins out. Reported averages for the series hover around the low to mid-millions, with peaks above that on ABC and ESPN, depending on the night and the matchup. Solid numbers, respectable for a league still scaling, but we watched regular season fever games with Caitlin Clark's spike into similar territory, sometimes higher. That doesn't diminish the finals. It just reminds us that star power and platform placement can drive totals more than postseason branding alone. When you mix in a revised methodology, year-over-year comparisons get clumsy fast. Now, the real meaning. Measurement is not a neutral backdrop, it's the lens. Change the lens, and the picture looks bigger, sharper, and brighter, even if the subject didn't move an inch. That's not cheating, it's modernization. Everyone wants better data, more sources, and faster signals in a streaming world that shattered old habits. But when leagues and outlets skip the asterisk and sell historic without explaining the new math, fans feel manipulated. They smell spin before the parade ends. You win a headline today and lose trust tomorrow. And trust is the only metric that still converts reliably. Mini story time. A fan scrolls Twitter at lunch, sees most watched since 2000, pumps a fist, then clicks through and finds the key sentence 5 paragraphs down explaining expanded counting methods. The celebration slows, not because growth isn't real, but because the framing feels engineered. That tiny moment happens thousands of times. Momentum leaks, skepticism spikes, and the conversation becomes about credibility, not basketball. Here's a double fact to ground the debate. First, Nielsen's big data plus panel approach integrates massive return path data from devices with traditional panels and broader out-of-home captures, viewing that used to go missing. Second, apples to apples becomes apples to smoothies when you stack new totals against older, panel-only estimates. Same sport, different math. If you've ever weighed yourself on 2 scales and found 2 numbers, you understand the vibe. It's not a conspiracy, it's a caution. Experts keep repeating the same guidance, and it's painfully reasonable. Do not declare record-shattering across methodology breaks unless you isolate growth that survives the change. Account for distribution differences between ABC and cable. Parse out star effects, day parts, and concurrent sports competition. Then tell the story straight. The honest headline is finals up under expanded measurement, strong platform support, and momentum from breakout stars. Not as flashy, way more credible, Let's not pretend fans don't know how this works. They saw Caitlin Clark push regular season windows beyond anything the league touched in years. They watched highlight packages draw millions on social without a finals logo anywhere near the clip. They understand that a marquee on ABC pulls casuals better than a cable slot buried behind a football weekend. They also understand that technology captures more passive viewing now, like a bar TV with the sound off counting in totals. That's inclusion, not illusion. But it's still a shift. So what's the impact? First, sponsorship negotiations and CBA conversations will wave these charts like championship banners. Money follows momentum, and bigger numbers look irresistible on slides. If the methodology context gets soft-pedaled, buyers pay for a story that can't be replicated next quarter. That backfires. Second, when fans feel oversold, they disengage from the narrative. They still watch games they care about, but they stop sharing the press releases. Virality fades. You can love the product and hate the pitch. The smarter move is radical transparency. Spell out the transition. Separate organic audience growth from expanded counting. Segment out ABC boosts and star-driven spikes. Show the progress without inflating the balloon past its limits. The product has legitimate wins, new fans, better storytelling, more recognizable faces, stronger production values. Let those stand without the glitter cannon. Here's the trend nobody wants to admit. Every league is wrestling with measurement chaos. NFL, NBA, college football, even awards shows. Streaming shattered the one-screen era. ACR data floods dashboards. Panels adapt. Out-of-home flips previous blind spots into new visibility. Anyone claiming perfect continuity is selling you confidence, not accuracy. The ones who own the caveats earn long-term credibility. The ones who bury them earn short-term headlines. And yes, the comparisons to Caitlin Clark's regular season games should make the league sweat a little. When a rookie's Tuesday night outing can shadow a finals number, you don't mock it. You learn from it. You build windows around it, schedule smarter, and package matchups that maximize the audience gravity you've got. Then you grow the rest of the roster into household names with storytelling, not slogans. Here's a thought experiment. If the finals had identical methodology to last year, how different would the claim look? We don't know, and that's the point. Without a consistent baseline, best in 25 years becomes a marketing phrase, not a scientific conclusion. It's not lying, it's incomplete, and incomplete narratives eventually collapse under their own hype. One short sentence for the suits. Context changes everything. The path forward is simple if the league can stomach it. Publish the measurement asterisks at the top, not the bottom. Split out platform performance. Attribute star effects. Celebrate growth with receipts that survive scrutiny. Fans are not fragile. They will cheer for honest gains. What they won't tolerate is being treated like they can't read beyond the caption. If you want context over clickbait, hit subscribe and drop your take on the real drivers of growth, because your read on this matters more than any glossy headline. In the end, this season delivered moments that genuinely moved the needle. That deserves applause. But no one needs most in 25 years without the footnote. Give us the truth front and center, and the belief will follow. Numbers can be true, and still not tell the truth.
Tam się wydarzy na tym większym.
A propos wesela, czy wy już planujecie swoje?
No jeszcze nie mam pierścionka, więc no chciałabym, ale...
To szefowa przyjmuje, w ogóle wszystko odpowiada, no na razie jeszcze...
No to odpowiedz to,
im
ty
dłużej...
powiedz, czemu nie mam pierścionka.
An NBA guard said the Las Vegas Aces could beat an NBA team, and the internet exploded. Here's the engaging fact that lit the timeline on fire. Patrick Beverley posted that he truly believes this Aces team could beat an NBA roster, wine jokes included, and fans responded with highlight reels of reality because the size, speed, power, and depth gaps between the leagues are not narrative, they're physics. Average Aces height sits around 6'1". Average NBA height sits around 6'6" or 7, with wingspans that swallow space and verticals that erase windows. NBA rotations are 10 men deep with relentless length at every spot, and the pace, contact, and spacing are punishing at every second. That's not shade toward the aces. That's a mismatch by design, and every coach alive knows it. It's the same reason the worst NFL team would still crush a college champion. Different tiers, different tools. But the pushback didn't stop at numbers. It became a roast. Fans cracked jokes about G League squads winning by 40, high school all-district teams giving problems, and NBA centers pinning layups into the third row. The clapbacks got spicy, and yes, some of it got disrespectful, but the underlying point was simple. These hypothetical battles always erase the context that makes each league compelling. The aces are elite at what they do. So are NBA teams. Comparing them in a winner-takes-credibility cage match only devalues both. Now the real meaning behind that viral moment. These cross-league hypotheticals are engagement bait. They go viral because they trigger identity, pride, and rivalry, not because they respect the craft. We've seen this same script for decades, from college football titans supposedly crushing the worst NFL team, to international squads allegedly out-scheming NBA rosters because they play the right way. And the truth never changes. The top tier is the top tier for a reason. Size, athletic ceilings, and depth are different worlds. You don't measure violinists against drummers with the same scorecard. You admire both, then you judge them inside their lane where excellence is visible and fair. Mini story time. Years back, a college football legend said his undefeated team could beat the worst NFL franchise. Cue a week of headlines. Then a current pro said the quiet part. Their best player would be a special teams gunner here. It felt harsh. It was accurate. And the debate died because reality finally spoke louder than bravado. This is the same conversation with new names and louder algorithms. Here's a double fact to keep the feet planted. The rim is 10 feet for everyone, but the NBA plays higher, faster, and stronger above it, with defenders who rotate like hurricanes and close space in microseconds. The WNBA ball is slightly smaller, and the pace is built around different advantages: angles, timing, footwork, and elite team concepts that punish poor communication. Both are beautiful. Both are brutal. They are not interchangeable. Experts keep repeating it without drama. Coaches will tell you the separation is largely about accumulated size and speed across all 5 positions, not just one star or 2. Scouts will add that even the end of an NBA bench holds freakish outliers who can flip a game in bursts. A 6'9" wing who runs like a guard, a 7-footer who covers 2 shooters at once, a backup point guard with first-step lightning. That's a problem you don't scheme away with grit. You survive it with equivalent ceilings. The irony here is how this internet brawl swallowed the actual conversations fans want. All week, the comment sections buzzed about officiating optics, whether Aja Wilson benefits from a so-called special whistle, and free throw nights that felt outrageous to angry viewers. Some fans cited a playoff game where she shot nearly 20 free throws, calling it proof the scales tilt for stars. Those claims are unverified, of course, and free throws tend to follow aggressive usage and paint touches, but perception is oxygen online, and perception can sour belief faster than any missed call. Transparency matters. L2M reports, clear standards, and public accountability could diffuse half this noise overnight. Even veterans caught strays amid the roast. DeWanna Bonner's name trended alongside jokes about quitting and sweeps. Fan chatter that mashed together series and storylines like a blender without a lid. For the record, Bonner is a decorated pro and longtime competitor, and the internet's drive-by verdicts rarely match the film room's reality. But once a narrative cooks, nuance gets tossed. That's the cost of living inside the algorithm. So what's the impact of Patrick Beverley's take, beyond a day of dunks and memes? First, it pulls attention away from meaningful growth points. The Aces are masters of spacing, timing and composure. And teams like the New York Liberty, Connecticut Sun, and Indiana Fever have raised the overall bar with scheme and stars worth celebrating on their own terms. Second, it invites contempt that women's basketball doesn't deserve. The league needs respect calibrated to its lane, not borrowed adversity from a bad comparison. There's also a hidden impact on players' mental bandwidth. Every time a cross-league debate erupts, it invites a new wave of dismissals, and players end up defending their existence instead of their execution. That's exhausting. It's also unnecessary. You can love the NBA's chaos and still admire the WNBA's precision. You can celebrate Nikola Jokic's geometry and still honor Aja Wilson's footwork and timing. Sports aren't a zero-sum respect economy unless we make them one. Trend watch now. The hot take economy rewards extremes and false binaries. This would destroy that. This player is fake. This league is cooked. It gets clicks. It drains credibility. And fans are starting to push back with requests for real breakdowns, film study, tactical shifts, and honest officiating conversations that don't hide behind hashtags. Look at the comment sections. People want context, not caricature. So let's steer this where it belongs. What are the matchups that actually matter next season? Indiana at full strength against the Aces, with a grown-up playbook, a healthy roster, and real continuity baked in. Liberty versus Aces, round however many, with the chess match between pace and shot quality decided over weeks, not viral clips. And a league-wide focus on consistency in officiating, communication with fans, and embracing the star power driving new eyes without smothering it in spin. One short sentence for the timeline. Respect the lanes. If you're tired of lazy comparisons and want real hoops talk, hit subscribe and drop the matchup you actually want to see, because your picks set our scouting list for the next deep dive. Here's the bottom line. Patrick Beverley's take gave everyone a laugh, a dunk, and a debate. But it didn't give women's basketball what it deserves, which is focused, informed attention on the excellence inside its own game. Hold the league to higher standards. Demand transparency on officiating. Keep celebrating elite players without making them props in somebody else's fight. That's how you grow respect the right way. And that's how the conversation finally matches the talent on the floor.